A recent report out of Japan reveals some interesting statistics about where Tesla gets its batteries from, where its suppliers are, and what it means for Tesla's future. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. I'm Sam Evans. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. A recent analysis of publicly available information about Tesla's supply chain has revealed that almost 40% of the suppliers for materials used in the company's batteries are Chinese companies, says Simon Alvarez from Teslarati. Now, this is an interesting statistic because it actually makes this situation look much more favorable than it is. That is, if you're anti-China. The truth is that 40% number is not really a relevant number. Now, this analysis was conducted by Nikkei Asia in collaboration with Tokyo's Fronteo, which utilizes a machine learning algorithm to find data, sort of like using OpenAI when you want to find out some information. As noted in the company's analysis, public information included in financial statements and press releases identified 13,428 companies that were involved in supplying Tesla's items for their electric vehicle production. That gives you an idea of just how staggeringly complex the supply chain is, how hard it would be if you're a company making cars to actually ensure that every one of your suppliers is ethical, that none of them are using forced labor, they're all doing the right thing. 13,428. Imagine going through every single one of those. That number includes quinary suppliers, which are 5 steps up the supply chain. But that's still relevant, right? Still that 5-step still means that you're getting a part to some degree from that supplier, or at least a part made from a part from that supplier. Now, China ended up being listed as the largest supplier of materials for lithium-ion batteries that are used in Tesla's electric vehicles, but they're also the largest supplier of materials used for batteries in every company's vehicles, every one of them. Even South Korean batteries use a lot of Chinese manufacturers, a lot of Chinese suppliers. They're certainly not making everything themselves. It's not some kind of magical vertical integration. That's a myth. Like, the myth of vertical integration is perpetuated by people who are brand fans, and I think, don't get me wrong, you can be more vertically integrated, absolutely. But this concept that somehow battery manufacturers and car companies can be just completely vertically integrated is just a myth. It's not correct. Companies from China comprise 39% of the 61 firms that were listed under the EV makers storage battery category. There's a lot of battery companies. These companies included Ganfeng Lithium, who are a producer of lithium products, Novaray, which produces inorganic compounds, and Zhejiang Heiyu Cobalt, which produces cobalt. The Chinese government holds shares in Novaray and Heiyu Cobalt with a 9% and 12% stake, respectively. Now, the thing to keep in mind here, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, how is Tesla qualifying for EV incentives in the United States right now? They won't probably soon. Based on the fact that the IRS rules, the tax incentives will change next year. Then they'll change again the following year. But they're qualifying now because even though these companies are Chinese suppliers, a lot of what they get doesn't come from them. What do I mean by that? Well, where do the materials come from? A lot of the materials are coming from places like Chile, Argentina, and Australia. In particular, Australia is one of the biggest sources for lithium. So, Australia is a free trade partner with America. Therefore, Tesla can say a certain percentage of our lithium batteries, even though the batteries are actually manufactured by, the cells are actually manufactured by CATL or possibly BYD, even though that is the case, and they're Chinese car companies, or Chinese battery companies, where's the materials coming from? Where are the raw materials coming from? Generally, but not always, generally it's from Australia or other places that are free trade partners. So that's what Tesla's been able to do. In fact, probably Tesla are more likely to say to CATL, you need to make sure you use Australian lithium because we need to qualify for our incentives. If you don't use Australian lithium, if we can't prove that you did, then we won't qualify. So you need to choose Australian lithium suppliers. Now, this is a concept, an idea that I came up with a while back. It's the only possible logical explanation for the fact that Tesla is currently qualifying for the battery EV part of the incentive in the United States, even though the battery cells are made by CATL. And keep in mind, we do already know there are a number of suppliers in Australia that do supply lithium to Chinese battery companies. Despite China's heavy presence in Tesla's batteries, Nikkei Asia and Fronteo's analysis indicated that United States companies comprise 22% of Tesla's overall suppliers. From an overall standpoint, Chinese firms accounted for only 17% of Tesla suppliers. So when it all boils down to it, there is this perception that EVs are made, especially Tesla EVs, in China. And the majority of Tesla's cars, to be fair, more than 50% of them are now made in China. However, interestingly, only 17% of Tesla's supplies, according to this Nikkei Asia, in other words, according to a Japanese report, actually come from China. That to me is quite a shock, and I'm struggling to actually believe that, but that's what they say. Fronteo director Mari Yamamoto noted that Tesla faces some risk due to its battery supply chain's dependence on Chinese companies. Now, that's a very weird thing to say. It's kind of like saying, okay, one company, we're going to single you out. You face risk from China. Of course you do, but so does everyone. I mean, who doesn't? Every single car company in the world has massive risk. They're all, think about it. There's a monopoly on batteries right now. It's in China. Now, fortunately, the US government has been smart enough to invest hundreds of billions of dollars, whether that's now or into the future, into getting companies to make batteries in North America to break China's monopoly, because they unquestionably have a monopoly today. That may not be the case, though, in 5 years' time when all these new battery companies are built in the US. However, the monopoly it's even worse for someone like BYD. I mean, where do BYD get their batteries? All of it's China. Imagine if this China supply dried up. They'll be screwed. It's a very strange thing to say. It sounds a bit arbitrary to point out Tesla's dependence on China when basically every car company, including Mercedes, Volkswagen, etc., are also similarly dependent on China. Now, Tesla's investment in a dedicated lithium refinery in Texas is an interesting and very unusual indication of Tesla's intentions to break that complete dependence on China. And of course, Tesla are not completely dependent on China. They do have battery sources. They do get batteries from LG Chem, from Samsung SGI, of course, as well from Panasonic. So that's three companies that are not located in China that they get batteries from. Plus, they make their own batteries as well. However, Tesla's electric vehicles, particularly the Model Y crossover and Model 3 sedan, are considered amongst the most American-made vehicles today. So even though the cells for the standard range models are now coming from China, almost everything else is basically coming from America or American companies. There's one key reason why I don't really agree with people saying, I'm not going to buy a Tesla because I hate Elon Musk. It's a very emotional knee-jerk reaction. If you consider really, if you want to help Americans, you want to help your own companies, your people working in your same street, your same city, your same country, yes, you should buy a Tesla over anything else because they're far more American-made than any other cars made in North America. And that's simply a fact that's been reported on by numerous publications over the course of the last 5 years, when Tesla has won that award every single year. On Cars.com's 2023 American-Made Index, the Model Y stood at the top of the website's rankings, followed by the Model 3 in second place. The Model X SUV was in third place, and the Model S was in fourth place. Tesla's reliance on China, it's actually pretty significant right now, because realistically, more than 50% of Tesla's electric cars are made in China. That will change. Tesla, of course, are trying to make more of their own batteries themselves. In addition to that, Samsung, Panasonic, and LG Chem are racing. They're in a competition against each other to supply Tesla with 4680 battery cells. In addition to that, Tesla are building probably their biggest factory in the world in Mexico. Plus, they're ramping production of their EVs in Texas. And of course, they're actually building a new tent now in Fremont. In addition, they're building out the factory in Nevada that should double in size. Plus, they have the factory in Germany. It seems to me as though the Chinese government are actually possibly maybe the number one reason for why Tesla will have less dependence on China than ever before within the next few years. Why do I say that? Well, it seems as though the Chinese government are what are preventing Tesla from building a second gigafactory in China to manufacture the Tesla Model 2. Now that could actually end up being a good thing. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.